Okay, this is an update on Saturn going through the first house. I had in 2015, Saturn hit my AC. So it was in the 12th house, went into my AC end of December 2015. 2016 began to be a bit of a nightmare for me in restructuring because things really began to fall to bits. By 2017, most things fell away from my life that no longer were working for me. The structure, the way I was dealing with things, and also my soul was crying out for truth and what I really wanted in my life. So, for instance, I had a business that I had started at age 21. And by 2015, I was into spirituality and running my business and doing lots of reading on spirituality. And then things fell to pieces, like bit by bit. I lost weight in 2016. By the end of 2016, I lost about 20 pounds in weight. And it says Saturn through the first house does that. And for me, it wasn't a great thing because I'm small anyway. So be very aware when Saturn is going through your first house to start looking after yourself and nutrition. I didn't know who I was anymore. I didn't know what I wanted or how I was going to move forward with my life. And I felt very vulnerable as well. It was like I was shedding something quite deep, and it was quite psychological as well. And the reality of it, like, what am I going to do to look after myself? How am I going to look after myself? So really it was like an initiation, like a rebirth. And that really took up the whole of 2017. And now I'm thankfully at the end of it going through my first house, and it's going to, at the end of October, November, December, it's going to be in my second house, at the cusp of my second house. And I'm very grateful for that because the learning that I've been through has been tremendous. It's almost like I have given a rebirth to who I am and what I believe and my own truth, and following the truth of my soul. I'm not playing into things of the past that no longer serve me. And the lessons have been hard. I made a few notes. So security and my own inner security, mainly, that's what it's been about for me. And achieving what I really want to achieve in this life, like not doing work that brings in money, but it's not who I am. So I've left something behind, which didn't happen. I would say it wasn't something that, the way it happened wasn't pleasant, but necessary. It was like I was being pushed there, a bit like Pluto pushes us to, make changes if we don't get on with it. And Saturn as well, it's like a teacher. So I've developed a lot of inner strength, which is a really beautiful thing. I've developed a sense of self, which I didn't have, as it went over my ascendant. I felt very vulnerable, and quite a lot through my first house as well. Knowing myself. So I got into studying evolutionary astrology, amongst other things I do. I listen to a lot of Audible books. I'm very much into information. I've got a Gemini sun, Gemini moon, and I have Pluto conjunct Uranus on my 9th house. So I feel that I'm here to do something, that's new and different. And aren't we all, basically? We all want something for ourselves. But I think that Pluto going through my first house, Saturn going through my first house really brought that to head. And then, so facing reality and facing myself, and the physical changes of, being a woman and, going through the Saturn and growing up and maturing. And then the consequences of past actions. I had, result of that catching up with me. And also that's maturing. It's like past actions are not always something that we do intentionally, like we're just acting out in life. So when we look back, we can see that there are consequences to decisions that we make. But this is life, hey? What else? Insecurity, vulnerability I had. So it was like the sensation of now I can see that it was like I was in a cocoon, and as it comes through, going into my second house, I can feel this movement into like being a butterfly, you know, definitely metamorphosis. Building new structures. I've been doing that. I was doing it without clarity. I was doing things like making videos and making, writing. So I was doing things that weren't very conscious, but I can clearly see that those things have added up into a new feeling inside of me and what I'm about. It definitely was a crisis, definitely was a rebirth. I'm more realistic. I feel more grown up, not so woo-woo and out there on beliefs and things like that. And also catching up with my soul truth. That's something that's really happened for me. There was a lot of looking after myself as well. I started exercising. I started getting very real about what foods I was putting into my body and looking after my appearance, because my appearance, I was struggling with it. If you look back, I have a video when Saturn was going through my 12th, you'll see the difference. Like I can see the difference in me, in my structure, in the way, not completely different, but the essence of who I am. Something's happened there. Being true to myself and speaking my truth, and releasing fears and doubts. So there was a lot of fears and doubts. It's like, who am I and what do I want? But I've now come into this groundedness of, yes, this is who I am, this is what I want, this is my soul desire. So very beautiful transit, very hard, not as hard as the 12th house, or the AC, but very good. So a lot of soul searching, a lot of looking at my life and reviewing, where have I been, where have I come from, what do I want to keep with me, what do I want to release. Also, I started doing some therapy, lots of different therapies on myself, but looked at psychoanalysis and looking at things that need to be healed from my past. And definitely a lot more discipline in looking after myself with nutrition and health, like exercising a little bit every day. I've got a mini trampoline and I use that every day with some weights. And I don't go mad, but I'm very consistent now, and with foods as well. In the past, I've been inconsistent with them, supplements and foods, like no consistency there, but now very consistent. Wanted to sleep a lot, and that did me good. There was a lot of sleep that I allowed myself to step into resting my body and more into loving myself as well, like being aware whatever was going on with me, whatever I looked like, whatever I felt like, just coming back to self-love. There were failures with the business, and that was good for me because it helped me to find my true calling, which was in me anyway. And then the feelings of insecure and feeling withdrawn served a purpose. So that's what I can say about Saturn going through the first house. Really, the more we know ourselves, the easier it becomes. Knowing myself through my chart really helped me to embrace the what was going on. Not knowing what was going on, if I didn't know my chart and I didn't know what was going on, then it could have been hell. It's like all hell could have broken loose, but I was able to flow with it because I knew what other transits were going on, where I was being supported, and what was ahead of me. So life is a constant work in progress, and we do grow and we do develop. I hope this is useful to you. I'll probably have more on this, but I'll have some more thoughts and I'll put them out there as I come up with them. Thanks for watching. Thank you.